this. Okay, going live. Okay. Just give me 2 minutes. Says natural. Okay. All right, Dr. G, we're just about to go live now. Okay, we are live. Hi, everybody. My name is Grainne Fletcher, and you probably know me because you're on my Facebook post. But for those that may be watching on other people's Facebook or in any kind of groups, my name is Grainne Fletcher. I'm Irish, and I have the honor of just having a quick 10-minute with my good friend, Dr. Gail, aka Dr. G. And Gail is from New Zealand, and we're going to hone straight in on kind of my story here and her story, her little things behind her, the synthetic versus natural. So Dr. Gail is a retired anesthetist where she was using lots of the injections, weren't you, darling? And now she calls herself a health consultant. I've known this woman a long time, and I would say she's a health warrior. She is on a mission, and you don't mess with her. What was the nickname you were given in school? Rottweiler?
Rottweiler. Yeah.
Rottweiler. And she has stayed up to that name, I would say 100%. So look, Gail, we've known each other a long time. We've helped open up Australia, New Zealand for the company, but I know you were a ball breaker back then. No offense, no pun, because you were like, if I'm going to go down any kind of natural route, I need to know that the science is there, the publications are there, the clinical studies. If I'm putting my name to anything, I need to make sure that it's the real deal. So I think with LifeVantage, you know, you believe in them. You believe in what they say. 100%. So when they brought out this new product, I remember you saying, I don't even like weight loss stuff. Like, this isn't even, I'm a doctor, like I'm an anesthetist, but you started diving into their studies. And what have you found? Could you explain to people what you have found with this mind body, which is over on the right hand side, what this natural GLP1 is doing, and maybe explain to the people, what is GLP1? A lot of people don't even know what that even means. So could you just maybe share with them, and we'll evolve on to then the synthetic that is out there?
Absolutely. And hello, everybody. And I'm just not quite sure whether on an injection pushed into my head or not. I mean, as an anesthetist, I use IV drugs every single day and in different sort of ways. I'm against injectables now. I just want to do everything naturally. So basically, let's have a look at what GLP-1 is. In medicine, we bandy names around like anything, and we make abbreviations for them. Now, I'm going to try and put it really simply so that you can understand exactly what this is, how it works, and what it does within the body. So GLP-1 is a hormone. And you know about hormones. Now, this GLP-1 is produced in the body, in the intestines, in specific cells called L cells. So it's produced in the body by L cells. It has receptors which are all over the body, and they are called GLP-1 receptors. That's where the GLP-1 does its function. Now, they're not just in one place or two places, they're all over the body. They're in your heart, they're in your brain, they're in your kidneys, they're in your lungs. And the GLP-1 also modulates glucose production and the way that the glucose is modulated within your body. And that's why it was first introduced for diabetics, because it modulates glucose response. And then all of a sudden they found it had weight loss, and people were saying, wow, let's use this for weight loss. And instead of just being diabetic, let's just do this. Because we know that when people are overweight, their chances of having diabetes are much more increased. So in summary, GLP-1 is a hormone which we produce naturally. It has receptor sites all over the body, which enables it to do its function, to do its work in all sorts of different parts of the body. And that's what we need to know as a baseline in terms of what a natural GLP-1 can do. So let's go back to Grainne, because I know she wants to talk about the synthetics as well. And yeah,
Yes.
we'll have a look
I
at the
know.
photos there,
I
because
want
I
to
know
talk about these two.
that photo, I was there when
You took it.
I took
You
that
took
photo.
this photo. She
Yeah,
took
yeah.
this. Oh, so this was me 2 years ago. I keep like moving my head to show my big belly, big boobs. Oh, and that was me 2 years ago. And I was in New Zealand walking from Dr. G's house. It was Anzac morning, and there isn't even a hill. It's kind of like a little bit of an incline. And I am a fitness nut. And I'll never forget walking up thinking, I'm huffing and puffing like an old person. My knees are killing me. I don't want to say to Dr. Gail, can you stop for a minute? Can we sit down? Like, that's what old people do. I'm not that old person. She'd never known me as this, but I was literally in agony walking up. And someone said to me, wow, you still always smile and stuff like that. A smile hides a lot of sadness. I was so sad in these photos, and I was leaning against a tree. Where were we? Up at Parliament?
We're at the Domain. And remember, I started to, red flags started to fly when you couldn't do up your shoelaces before we'd
Yes.
even started the walk. So you really struggled to do your shoelaces. And that's what weight does to you. 20 kgs extra. Can you imagine the amount of blood that has to go through that adipose or the fat tissue, and that heart has to pump that much harder and that much stronger to get that blood going around all of that body, 20 more kgs. And this was not the Grainne that I knew.
No. And it wasn't the Grainne I knew. I was doing Pilates 10 times a week. I was like out and about. I am not somebody who sits around. But I kind of had a couple of days of ice cream binging because I thought, well, if I'm this big anyway, I may as well enjoy some nice food because nothing's working for me. So, no judgment to anyone. I did keto. I did hard 75. Nothing was budging. I was doing Pilates 10 times a week. So I went down the injectables with my GP. I never even knew what Ozempic was. And I went down that journey to try and see if I could get some of this weight off so that I might be able to get back to me again. And it worked a little bit. I had some side effects, to be honest. I was in groups that people were like, I have to have a day off the day I take it. I have to take it at night. I have to do it at weekends because I'm in bed all weekend, because then I go to work on Monday. And I was like, wow, it didn't go like that for me, thank goodness. But there were some days I was like, can't do food today. Just feel too queasy. Um, but what I noticed was that, like, I was thinking, am I going to be on these forever? Like, is that just my life? Because people kept saying in chats and in groups, oh, you just got to be on this forever. And I was like, I don't want to be on injectable. It goes against everything that I'm about. I'm a natural person. So when I heard about Mind Body, which is over to Gail's right, when I heard that the company was bringing these out, I was like, okay, I'm going for this. I'm going to start taking these products. And I came off the injectables. And I was with Gail, literally doing my first scoops on the first week. And I was like, man, it was like my stomach wasn't 100%. Everyone else was like, nah, I have no interest in food. Nah. And I'm like, I'm still starving. So what did you end up saying to me? The damage I'd done that nobody told me about. I had no idea that I didn't even know I had a receptor. So what damage was I doing that I didn't even know?
most people when they're being on synthetics will have some sort of side effects, like whether it be nausea, whether it be vomiting, gastroparesis, pancreatitis, vision disturbances, fear of needles, those all of those are the common things. Now, when you go down to the cellular level, what happens with a GLP-1 synthetic like Ozempic, Mounjaro, Wegovy, is that because you've got receptors, what happens is that these synthetics come along and they mimic the natural GLP-1, and they bind onto the receptor, but it's not quite the GLP-1. It's not the natural one. So this receptor says, I sort of know you, but I don't know it. But okay, I'll work because you're sort of like GLP-1. So what the synthetics do is you have to have a bigger dose to get the same response through that receptor. And so the receptors get banged again and again and again, and they get tired. And what happens to those receptors? Those receptors feed back to the L cells in the colon where you make it. And they say, listen, we're getting enough GLP-1 here at my receptor site. You don't need to make any anymore. So they actually shut off the supply of GLP-1 naturally in your L cells if you're having synthetics. So when you are on synthetics, you have basically stopped your natural production of a natural hormone that is in your body. You have just closed the door and it's not going to work. And what's more, you have got these receptors that are really tired and they need more and more dose to be able to provide the same effect as they would with a GLP-1 natural.
Wow. I knew none of that. All I knew was I needed to lose some weight. This isn't me. And I needed to shift 20 kilos that had just come on in menopause. So I started on the natural. And I remember even ringing up the formulator going, the head of research going, it's not working. I'm not happening the same as everyone else. And she said, Grainne, just visualize this is where everyone else's GLP-1 is. They haven't done any synthetic. They haven't talked to it saying switch it off, do anything. Yours is way back here. And it's going to take quite a few months to get it back here to where everyone else is starting for it bang to start happening.
And I think that's what people on synthetics have got to realize, that they are below baseline in terms of the GLP-1 production. And the other thing I really want to focus on today is muscle loss.
Yes.
I don't know if you experienced it, but people on synthetics lose muscle. And you know that muscle is responsible for keeping your joints active, for increasing the strength of your bones, for increasing your metabolism, which helps weight. If you've got a good muscle mass, you have an increased metabolism. Otherwise, you've got a low metabolism, you gain weight. And so Wegovy, Ozempic, and Mounjaro, you lose muscle on them. And you can see it on people who've been on these long term. The mind body, you do not lose muscle. And I know that you were talking to me and saying to me, hey, listen, I think my muscles are stronger. I'm the strongest in my Pilates class.
Yesterday.
And I know, yeah. And I know that, and I've seen it in myself. And when I look at the science, I understand that what GLP-1 does is it pushes glucose into the muscles, and that means the muscles are getting fed properly. And if you've got a properly fed muscle, what will it do? It'll strengthen, it'll grow and become stronger. So, I just wanted to absolutely emphasize the fact that there is zero muscle loss with this natural product. And we've had no one talking about nausea, vomiting, or any of those other revolting complications that they get with synthetics, because they want the quick weight loss. This is not a quick process.
No, this is me 4 months in, and now in the last 2 weeks, I've been like, it's kind of gone a bit up and down and up and down. And I'm like in and out. And I'm like, oh my gosh, maybe it's just not for me. And then bang, at the end of 12 weeks but I know it works because my husband hasn't been on anything. He started 1 January, and within 1 month, he had lost 5% body fat. He had lost 6 kilos, and he didn't have 6 kilos to lose, really. Like, that is him now at his ideal weight. And he said to me the other day, so do I keep taking this? Like, what happens? I don't want to get any thinner. I'm at a perfect 82. He's tried for so long, little belly fat, little tiny little ring, that he's always got, I've got this little bit. And I'm like, oh, I've got a big bit. But I said to him, is there anything that you're noticing differently? And he went, my sleep. And he always has had trouble sleeping. He said, I go into the deepest sleep that I've ever had. I'm 58 years of age. I've never slept as deep. And he said, I've never been as regular. And I said, well, now that the GLP is working at its optimum, you're not going to keep losing weight. It's just going to keep you at that optimum and just keep taking away the visceral fat and the fat so that your body is at its optimum and it can start really working on the other organs. So I said, it's just a win-win by staying on it.
It's a maintenance, and really importantly, you talk about visceral fat. Visceral fat is the fat that surrounds your vital organs, like your heart and your kidneys and things like that. And what we've seen with the mind body is it decreases visceral fat. So you might not look as if you've lost weight externally, but internally, where it really, with health, really, really matters, you've lost that weight, and that's what's really, really important in terms of overall health. The other thing also is that remember that the GLP-1 works all over the body. It's not just about glucose modulation or about weight loss. It's cardioprotective. It protects your heart. It protects your brain. It protects your lungs. It protects your kidneys. So we've got receptors all over the body. And what this is doing is and we get a lot of people who say that they're more regular now than they ever have been before because their gut microbiome, which are the bacteria and the pathogens within the gut, are actually healthy now. You're providing an environment that encourages normal growth of or normal assimilation or absorption of the proper nutrients in the proper way. And you're encouraging the L cells to produce GLP-1. Now, remember when I talked about GLP-1 receptors, they have a natural feedback mechanism to the L cells. So when you've got enough, and there's enough in your body, they feed back to the L cell, says, you don't need to produce any at the moment. So even if you're taking more, it doesn't mean that you're going to lose so much weight that you're going to become cachectic. That doesn't work like that because it's natural and that natural feedback mechanism.
And it's interesting. I've actually had a few people, and we'll end with this just because we're down this route. I've actually had quite a few people message me saying, have you got a natural GLP-1? Because I've got this I've got all these different autoimmune, and all the buzzwords in America, all the natural advocates and doctors that are out there are talking about GLP-1. She said, I don't need to lose weight. I've had 3 people in Australia already saying, I have 0 weight loss to go, but I have these issues. And one thing I have been researching, and I encourage everyone, go research GLP-1. Just research by activating it, what you're actually doing to your body. Because when you activate the GLP-1, you activate the GLP-2, and then there's this new super probio. I always get it mixed up. It's like echinacea, which can clean up the leaky gut, and it goes in and starts filling in all the leaky gut in your intestine. And that's where all diseases stemmed from. So by activating your GLP-1, you do so much more. A side effect is that you're going to lose a few kilos. That's just one of the benefits. There's so much more.
Yeah, we haven't even talked about the fatty acids, butyrate, and things like that. Encourages. So, I don't want to go too scientific and too scientific here because, but one thing I must say is that if you use this new system, the Mind Body Core and the Mind Body Enhance, with something that reduces oxidative stress, which is NRF2, protandim NRF2, you will get the best results possible because you're reducing your oxidative stress, so you're increasing your metabolism. And we know that an increased metabolism is good for the body. In the papers, the synergistic effects of the two of them together are now out, and it shows all the specific enzymes, it shows all the specific proteins that have been augmented by the combination of the two. So it's just...
We just want to know about the fat genes. It activated 9. I said this to my daughter, I can't get her to do Protandim. And I went, oh, Protandim with the Mind Body, because she loves this. I went, it activates 9 extra fat genes. And she went, give me the bottle. Give me Protandim. So, putting it all together is my go-to now. That is what, for the best results, you put the Protandim and you put the Mind Body together. Why wouldn't you? and activate them extra fat cells to try and get rid of some of this extra stuff.
Yeah. We're optimizing the bodily functions naturally, and we're getting the body to do the work. So we are taking these in order for the body to make whatever it needs, enzymes, proteins, GLP-1. This is medicine of the future. We've got to understand that this is the way that we're going forward. And when you have product specific research, not ingredients, product specific, it can tell you how many genes, 9 fat genes. I mean, that's just incredible. So I think that this is the way of the future. And I think that more and more people will start to be looking for something GLP-1 naturally, rather than going down the synthetic route, which has got so many issues. Really,
I know.
If you're even considering it, please
Do your
think very,
research.
very carefully. Do
I
your research. Natural GLP-1 all the way.
Totally. All right, my darling. Have a great day in New Zealand. Thank you so much for coming on and helping me with this. And I hope it was of value to all of you people. And do your research. That's all we're saying. Google, ChatGPT, whatever. Do your research. All right. Thanks so much, Gail. Have a great day.
Bye.
Hey, everyone. Have a great day. See ya. Okay.